Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another great episode of the CEO Show. Remember, this is the first Tuesday of this December. And this is a show that always looks forward to bring you amazing and also very inspiring personalities from different fields, from different industries. People are going to talk about their stories, they are going to share their stories, and most importantly, what is it that has taken them to be where they are. This is a show that looks forward to bring inspiration, motivation, also insights to you. Remember, I'm your host, Dan. Our guest tonight is one amazing person that most of you have heard about and also most of you have interacted. His story is a story of from grace to grace, that is, and also from zero to becoming one of the notable personalities in our society and also in the country as large. Who is our guest tonight? Our guest tonight is, I call him Mheshimiwa Kimani Wanjohi. This is somebody who has gotten from a very humble background to be in the assembly, that is the county assembly of Uasin Gishu, representing the HURUMA ward. And this is somebody that his story is quite inspirational. His story is about resilience, is about determination and staying committed to the cause. Soon, he will be also the advocate of the High Court. And this is a story that you can't afford to miss. And ladies and gentlemen, you need to sit back and follow this conversation. We are coming to you live on Facebook, also YouTube, and also tonight we are coming live on TikTok. Please share this conversation for somebody to know that you're watching, and also drop a comment. Tell us where you're watching from for us to know that you're part of this amazing conversation. Mheshimiwa, karibu to the CEO show.
Thank you.
I have not mentioned that ulianzia kutoka mali to now you're Mheshimiwa, and I was going through some pictures nikaona the back then you and now you're two different people.
That is it.
Okay.
As you said, it
Yes.
was from grass
Yes.
out to grace.
Okay.
And it is what people in this town goes through. I being one of them. I'm
Okay.
not an exception to that.
Okay.
Yes.
Now people know the Mheshimiwa you, but less people know about your journey to where you are.
Yeah.
Just a brief introduction before going into your background. Who is Kimani Wanjohi? And by the way, do you have Zachariah name, Daniel or what? Najua tu Kimani Wanjohi.
Yes, thank you. Thank you a lot. My name is Kimani Wanjohi. The other name is Peter. Actually, people are not aware of that name because I don't normally resonate with it so well. But I'm Peter. I've been born in Eldoret, in a place known as HURUMA, in a suburb, a ghetto suburb known as Kingongo. I guess it's widely known. People refer it as a ghetto.
Okay.
Well, I don't refer it as a ghetto because I was born there and I love my place.
Okay.
That's where I came from.
Why do people call it a ghetto?
Yeah, it's called a ghetto because of I think it's more of a slum from other people's perspective.
Okay.
But from mine it's not. But from other people's perspective, they refer it to a slum.
Okay.
Yes.
But for you, it's home.
Mine is home.
Okay.
I can never call it a slum.
Now tell us about you growing up and growing in quote unquote where people refer to a slum, which is to you, it is dear to you, it's home. Tell us about your growing up.
Yes. Right now, I remember you had asked about my personality. I'm the area MC representing HURUMA, and I'm also a lawyer, but not an advocate. I'll give you the example of that. And also, I'm a business person. I have a business personality. I have a company which I run in Eldoret. Yes. Okay. So back then, I was born, I think, 1989. Not I think, I know I was born 1989, 23rd of September.
Okay.
In Kingongo. I grew up just like any other ordinary kid. And I started my primary in HURUMA Primary until class 4. That's when I transferred from the school. Back then in primary, I'll say to you that I was a hustler ever since I was a child. I remember like when I was in class 5, I remember so. My business personality came when I was in primary school. because I remember at class 5, I used to do the odd jobs. I used to do is a kupalilia, what are they called? The kupalilia shamba and what have you.
Unaenda kibarua?
Kibarua, yeah, kibarua. I was looking for that word.
Okay.
I used to do kibarua a lot, but what amazed most of my peer and most of my friends is the fact that I was a show cobbler at the age of 11. I was a show cobbler. I had even my own stool,
Okay.
which I had borrowed.
That at the age of 11?
At the age of 11, I used
What
to
is
do.
it that pushed you to now become a cobbler and start doing this kind of business at a tender age?
Well, they say necessity is the mother of invention. Having brought up from a very humble background, it necessitated actually me to actually go and hustle. One thing that we'll realize is the fact that you could be in a school and you had a patched sweater, you never had shoe, or they were torn out completely. You sometimes missed lunch, you skipped lunch and supper probably. And in our place, when you lack tea, there was buza which was readily available. So instead
It was a substitute.
Yeah, it was a substitute to tea.
Breakfast.
Yeah, because you could get people buying you buza, and then you, at that age. So I realized that I had not, I was not living a normal life like any other kid. So what came to my mind is the fact that I need to go out. I need to hustle. I need to be making money. My last clothes to be ever bought by someone, I think it was in class 4. Then from class 5, I used to
buy your own
to buy
uniforms,
my own uniform.
clothes.
I used to buy my own clothes, my own shoe, and everything, because of what I was hustling. Basically, that was my humble journey in primary school.
Okay.
And I hustled a lot. Like I was a show cobbler. I used to do this work in chomelea karai. I don't know if you know that. This chomelea karai.
Okay.
Yeah, you just have a can. You got some firewood and then some metal. Then you go out chomelearing people's karai, and it was a nice venture.
At what time are you doing all this? Now you are a pupil at
You remember back then we never used to have tuition. So when you get to school, by I think 3 or 4, you are out of school. So in between 4 and 7, that's when you do your hustle. And then also Saturday we were free. We never had tuition. And then school holidays, we were also so free, a 1 month period. And that is when now I used to do all that hustle.
Okay.
Yes.
And the moment you were earning these small monies, what was it that was running across your mind, and how are you spending these monies that you're making?
The spending, first of all, you have a family. You need to maybe have some cash for your family, for either breakfast or something.
A family that is now your siblings.
Yeah, my
together with your
sibling,
parents.
my family. Yes, I had a parent. I had a mother and a father, but they were from very humble background.
Okay. So you used to provide for them?
I used to provide, not that much, because the money wasn't that much, but I used to in a way
come in
when needed.
Okay.
Yes.
And the younger you now, when people were dreaming of becoming lawyers and becoming doctors and engineers and what have you, what were you dreaming to become?
So certainly it so happens that I dreamt to be a lawyer.
Oh.
I dreamt from ever since my background, for this reason that I had an uncle who was very prosperous, who was an uncle. And I used to envy his life. And then I decided that I'm going to be a lawyer because that life that I saw from him really captivated me.
Okay.
And that was the beginning of my dream of becoming a lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then immediately after primary school?
Then immediately after primary school, I scored very well in my KCP. Then I went to Kipsangui High School. From Form 1, back then I was tiny, as as an ant. I was so tiny, but I went to a boarding school and it was very tough for me. But also still, when I went to my secondary school, still I had that hustling mentality. You know, that I think...
Now, what are you selling now in high school?
In high school, I think that is what actually opened actually my mind into the business world. Because I remember in high school, you could have, let's say, like 200 shillings for pocket money. Then there was this carton of biscuits, which used to be sold, I think, by then it used to be sold at, I think, 120 shillings. Our fare from here to Kipsangu, it was like 50 or 60 there shilling. So you buy a carton of biscuit. One carton of biscuit has 300 pieces. Then you sell each at a shilling. So by the end of you clearing the stock, you have 300 shilling from 120. Then you get to send the kiosk guy for some other stocks. You refill there, and that journey goes on and on.
Okay.
So by the time you closing the school, you have actually sold a lot of carton of biscuit. And you remember, a carton of biscuit could be sold within 2 days or 3 days. So within 2 days, you have 180 shillings. If I'm good in maths.
Profit.
Well, 180 shillings as a profit. Then you restock and restock. So by the time we were closing the school, you could get that I could be the one the one giving out money to students who didn't have fare. I was their own Shylock because you could get like they didn't have.
So you could loan them transport.
So I could loan them transport.
They have to pay you back
with the promise that when they come back after the likizo,
during opening,
after the break, then they'll give me with a profit. I think, and that opened my mind. Actually, by the time I was clearing Form 4, I had the knowledge of how to make money, how to start a business, and how to make money. To run a business.
But also still dreaming to become a lawyer.
Yes, I was still dreaming to become a lawyer still.
Okay. Yes. Then immediately after your Form 4?
I immediately after 2007 election violence, I was transferred to Nakuru, Jomo Kenyatta High School, where I cleared my fourth form. I got a B plus in my KCSE exams. But that didn't qualify me to go to a campus, to a campus with a government program. Remember, for you to
Joint Admission Board.
Yeah, for you to actually get to do a law program with a government sponsorship, you ought to have gotten an A or an A minus at least. But I had a B, which automatically qualified me for private sponsorship. But again, the amount of money that you were asked in that course was too expensive. It was like 190 per year. And do you remember your parents were not even able to clear fee when in high school, and that was 30,000 or so. Then when could you have gotten that amount of money? So I didn't proceed to campus. And I opted just to proceed when I was okay.
Get enough money.
Yes.
Okay, that is now coming back home. You've passed. It's not that you failed in high school. Now, what was next? Knowing that your friends and your colleagues in school are proceeding to universities, they are doing well in their professions and pursuing their profession, but yourself, due to lack of finances and lack of school fees, you're coming back home. What next?
I came home. I had a B plus. I was offered an opportunity to do education, and I never wanted to be a teacher. All my family were from teaching background. Then I never wanted to become a teacher, so I opted not to do any other course until the day I'll get money to take me to actually to get the law course. Okay. So I opted not to do anything. It was very frustrating to me. I remember then when that rang my mind that I'm not going to do the course that I've envied, I opted to shift to stay in annex so that I'll be seeing the law school.
Okay.
I wanted just to see
Those students going
how
now to-
students are going on with that with
their
their life,
studies.
and they became my friend.
What were you doing now in Annex, and who was paying your house rent and whatever?
You know, by then. By then, I had started my own business, in which I'll tell you in a short while. I had rented a small SQ, which was paying like 2,500, but just near the School of Law Annex, for the reason that I wanted just to be around that facility,
School of Law.
that School of Law facility,
Okay,
because
okay.
it was my dream.
So that you can study from outside.
Yes.
Okay.
By then I was a hawker in town. I was a hawker in town.
What were you selling?
I was selling Mali, and you know Mali is very diverse.
Okay.
And you can never have a word to explain what Mali is. Mali is everything. I'll give you an example. In January, when students are going to school, you will be selling, or I will be selling pencil, biros, sets, rulers, and what have you.
Just in the streets.
Yes, in the streets. That's January. Come March or something, you could be selling pangas, djembe, because people are going to till their land.
True.
And anything that is associated with tilling of land. When it rains, you could be selling umbrellas and shower capes and what have you, because people need to take care of themselves against the rain. When it's on a typical December, I will be selling household items, the spoon, the cups, the sufurias, and what have you, the related items that are associated with eating and feasting. Basically, what I was doing is just shifting from one product to another depending on the time, and that made actually my life.
You had a seasonal supermarket, but because somebody was asking me on about Mali, because this is a business that it's lucrative in a way, and I believe you used to make some money, right?
Yes.
But now, how looking at this kind of a business proposal, how is Mali to you?
Mali is a very nice business. Basically, when I came to town, I was offered a job at a sales and marketing job. This job where you go telling people that you have what did I say? What were we telling people? That you have an offer which is not there. That we have an offer today. We are selling this. Today we are selling this.
Buy one get two free.
Buy one get two free. Then I realized that we were actually working for others, because you could be given a product to sell at a very high amount of money in the disguise that it is an offer. Then when I got to understand that actually we were like slaves of that guy, I quitted that kind of work, and I opted to go and become a hawker. But by this time, I had gotten the lesson of how to approach a customer, how to make a sale, how to motivate yourself, how to maintain your image, because they are very crucial in any marketing field. You have to have an image, a good image. You have to know how to talk, how to approach a customer. You know how to make a sale. You know how to close a deal. You know how to react. Those are the sales of a salesperson. So I opted to go to do my own hawking business. And remember, I had no capital. You know, my first day capital was 200 shillings. That 200 shilling, I bought a mshipi, and this one called Daamende. That was my capital.
So back then, ngekutana nayo ilikuwa ile dawa mende.
In fact, I was the one who started that song, Daamende. There's a rhythm that goes Daamende. You will probably have heard that on the street. Yeah. I was the one who started that that rhythm of Daamende. Yeah.
Where were you getting now your stock, and what were the margins?
you know, when you go to the town, you go and just look what people are doing. When I went to the street, I followed the hawker and actually I saw where he was getting his own things.
Akakuonesha shimo.
Yes, akanionyesha shimo kwa lugha ya mtaa. Then when I get to know where the things comes from, nikajua pia it wasn't a must for you to have money. In order for you to have stock, you could maybe come with your own phone or a DVD or anything that is valuable, leave it at the shop and get anything.
It becomes a security.
Yeah, it becomes something like a collateral or a security for you. Then you're given stock and you go with them. But remember, the first time I had no relation with these guys, so I went with the 200 shilling. I bought a belt. I remember I bought a belt for 50 shilling, and Mtegopanya, like 3 of them, they were costing like 20 shilling. That was my stock by
Your
then.
initial stock.
When I went round, I sold that mshipi at 200 shilling. That was a profit of 150. So by the end of the day, I realized that I had 500 shillings.
Okay.
Out of 200 shillings. Then the next day, I did the same. And I used to sell, I used to look at my image a lot. Because I was one hawker who had a suit and a tie. And very clean.
Okay.
And very organized.
Okay.
Yes, I used even to sell to any big office in this place. But then there was no county governor's office, but there was municipal governor's office. I used to sell even to Kanjos themselves, and they never realized that I was a hawker.
Because of the way you dressed?
Because of the way of how I presented myself.
Okay.
You know, I presented myself in a way that they just thought this a salesperson. You know, somebody can actually.
You're not a hawker.
You're not a hawker. You're a salesperson, but you're a hawker. You're a hawker.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now, talking to this analogy, you find that young people and in this current generation, when people think about business, getting into business, there is always this cliche or analogy that I don't have money for capital. Do you buy the same?
In fact, in a business, you need your brain. And you need your discipline and your character.
Your brain, discipline, and character.
Your brain, your discipline, and your character for you to make it into a business. You don't need capital. Capital comes as the last option.
Okay.
In the event that you have capital and you don't have a brain, then you're doomed. In the event that you don't have a character and you have capital, still you're doomed. But you can have the 3 and lack capital. But still prosper. Yes, capital might be very vital. But in an event that you don't have, that's not a reason for you to start business. As I told you, there were some times which we could be able to give out our funds in exchange of stock for the fund to act as a security. In that situation, how much money did I have? How much capital? I started my business with 200 shilling. And I remember that 200 shilling was given by my mother, who sold kagorogoro of beans.
Okay.
Of beans, and told me, kijana, enda town ngengana kama wanaume wengine. And I went. I just took my mattress and went out from my mother's place, and I went into some muddy house.
Okay.
I went into some muddy house in Langas, a 500 shilling monthly house. That very day when I started. So in any given environment, no amount of capital is little. You just need the idea and the brain.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
Yes.
Looking back then, what was the game changer? When did you now see this turning point from now being a hawker, mali? At what point now did you find it that now I'm growing in my business?
And also I realized that for you actually to get what you're ordained to do, you'll pass through a lot of difficulties, even in business. You start and you'll fail. You start and you'll fail. I have done a couple of businesses before I found actually my real thing in business. I was an M-Pesa. I had an M-Pesa shop. I used to run an M-Pesa shop. It was closed. It was auctioned. I used to do a border business. I used to be a tout in one of these stages. If probably you heard ukienda town hapo, you probably heard watu wakikuuliza wewe unaenda wapi, and you're asking grown up people where they're going, and they actually know where they're going. Okay. And uko where you going, those kind of thing. Palace stage, I was with them. I did mjengo, but but my body could not allow me. You inataka watu nguvu kidogo. I didn't have that strength to do that kind of work. It was heavy duty for me. I told you I did Kobla. I nilifanya vibarua. I used also to burn charcoal. At some given event, I burned charcoal. And every time I started a business, it actually failed, because I think that kind of business wasn't right for me, wasn't ordained for me. Until the time I went into hawking business. Be it small as it is, that is what made me grow. And the game changer of it was when I discovered that this is one of a business that had been looked down upon. In the sense that when you tell a person that you're doing mali business, they will associate you with the hawking, with the roughness it comes with. You understand? Yeah. It didn't have it didn't have a very clear image on what it is. In fact, even until today, you cannot define what mali is. But I think from my own definition, it's just a lot of things put in together that is being sold together depending on the time, depending on season. Okay. Yes.
And now, looking at you, and now the ambitious young person that you are back then, you are into this business, the next day it fails, you get into another business. What was it that was motivating you? What was it that was burning in you that despite the failure, despite losing some businesses and closing down, the next day you have just to get up and dust up? Because some people will lose hope and despair and give up on everything and just go and languish.
I think from my point, the motivating factor was hunger. That when you have suffered enough of hunger in the past, then you don't have any other option but just to make it. My driving force was my humble beginning, that I could not be able to fail, and to fail my parents and to fail my sibling. Because I had this clear image of whom I am supposed to be, whom I'm supposed to be holding. I had this clear image of me actually being responsible to numerous people. So in my mind, I had this vision. I had this this urge to just work it out, not to slide back and to go to drugs or to my humble background. When you have suffered enough, actually there's nothing that can scare you. Being auctioned by an auctioneer can never deter you from going what you have, because you have seen enough. Okay. So I've been auctioned. I've started business. It has failed numerous times. But when it came, when the time was right, it never failed. I think I had learned some lesson. And by you also failing, I think it is the process that God uses to make us learn, so that we may be sharpened. Okay. By the time you are starting a business and it falls, then you start another, and then it still falls. I believe there are numerous lessons that one learns from them. Okay. Then in the event that you get another new business, then you'll be able to overcome those challenges that you had initially you had initially faced. Okay. Yes.
Talking about failure now, the lessons that were so dear to you. I believe coming out of all these, there's those lessons that even when you close your eyes, you can say that these are the lessons that I learned. What are some of these lessons that you think were very, very important to you?
One thing that is learned all through is the art of just being disciplined. And I think that carries a lot of weight, being financial disciplined. At times I fail because of being indisciplined in as much as money is concerned. You'll get a business person getting money, misappropriating that money, not knowing that whatever comes from that business is entirely for that business and not for his own pleasure or his expansion, his expansion, his idea of expansion of the business without realizing that this one, this initial business also need to grow. I think discipline carries each and every aspect that I had then. Yes.
Now, getting into details about now, you've talked about financial discipline and financial literacy for that matter. And this is the heart of every business. When you find that a business has been closed down, there is a whole chapter of finances that somebody misappropriated.
Yes, yeah.
But now, talking about finances, what do you think is that critical thing that because somebody say that sometimes somebody talks about spreading risk, like you are in this business, tomorrow you open another business so that you spread risks, so that whenever one fails, there is the law of spreading risk that you understand. But now, to you, after trying all these, and now you're saying that you need to be critical about expansion, the financial literacy bit of it, at what point do you think it's very important for any business to sit down and do the right maths when it comes to money?
First of all, about spreading risk, I come from a school of thought, and forgive me to say this, that I come from a school of thought who thinks that you have to do things the right way and make it prosper. There are no two ways of it. You don't start a business with the idea that this one might fail. When you have that mind, obviously it will fail. When you now spread the risk, you actually giving yourself to believe that actually this one
Might fail.
But when I invest my capital in any business, I'm of the sense that it will and it must work. Whether the condition is tough or not. So basically, I believe that when you need to invest in other business, this one that you started with, the one that has given you the financial freedom, should be able actually to work on its own. The system should be very well. The capital should be very well. In the event that you're actually going to have another business, then this one, this one that you had kept it dear, should be able to run on its own, without the reason of actually affecting the stock or affecting its capital. But when you affect the capital of what brought you into the limelight, then I think you are killing one thing. Then you want to kill one thing. Then you want to get another one, and that might not happen. When you want a second child, for example, if you're a father, you have another. If you have a child, you can never kill this one child in the hope that you're going to get another one. You just get another one and have two, and this one must survive and live. So that is my thinking, and I've seen a lot of business making errors. You get a very nice business doing very well, getting huge profit, but all of a sudden you hear some crazy ideas being pumped into this appropriator of this business. You meet with him, taking all that capital, going to invest into a non-business which he has no idea of how it goes. Because getting into new business it's like going into murky waters in which you don't know what it is in. It's better this one that you're used to. and to make it live. It's better you even open another branch of the same thing that you're selling, of the same kind of business, rather than going for another venture, which is a very unknown idea to you. In the disguise that you've had that there's another business that is actually doing very well than what you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, looking back in terms of still on finances, what do you think is one of the critical, one of the worst mistakes that you ever made as far as finances are concerned? And given a chance, you wish not to have done the same mistake.
Basically, I think what you had mentioned is investing in a lot of business at the same time, and not knowing how then to manage them, because now they overrun you. You know, you want to be so certain without clear structures and system. You want to own this one, you want to own this one, you want to own a saloon, you want to own a shop, you want to own a barber shop, you want to own this one. It will never work, and that is one of the mistakes. That was one of the dear mistakes that I did. When I was getting money, I wanted to invest in like everything. I wanted to be a landlord. I wanted to build houses. I wanted to do this one. Then you get at the end of the day, you have taken loan. You're building this house. This house doesn't have return. There are some repayment for the loans. Then all of a sudden everything crumbles and the auctioneer are at your door. All you had invested goes into drain because maybe you had used your business as a security, as a collateral. Then this kind of business which you had gone, let's say it's building houses, it's incomplete, or either way, if it's complete, it's not giving you the return that ought to have been, that should be able actually to repay your loan. So in that given event, you get to a point where you lose everything that you had worked for in a very glimpse of time.
Okay. Now talking about the management bit of it, many businesses will fail because of lack of the touch of what is happening in the business. Sometimes you find that you're too busy for the business, but yourself currently you are a member of county assembly. But now you still run your businesses very well. What is the secret?
Basically, but I do, as you said, I do run my own business. It's just a matter of dividing the time that you have and giving your business some time. Number two, you have to have clear system and structures. When you have system and structures, then you'll be able to do any kind of job. Have you ever asked yourself why then Kirubi, for example, the Chris Kirubi, had numerous business, even in Rwanda and Kampala, and he will never be available to that business, and then he still makes profit. It is all about the system and the structures. When the system is right, when the structure is right, when you have the right people working for you and with you, then I think you should be able to make it through. Yes.
Now, you've talked about dividing, like scheduling your time, that this is where you should be, this is how you should be. But you always have this struggle of getting the right people for the right job.
Yes.
And staffing is one of the problems, specifically. Getting the right person for the right job, it becomes an issue. How do you scout for the right people? How do you ensure that you have the right people for the right job?
One, you could have been, provided you just get a very honest person. Anyone can be trained to be the right person.
Okay.
Provided you just get a very a person who is dishonest. Any person can be trained to be in the rightful place. But again, you have to do interviews. You have to do numerous interviews to get the best person. You have to get referrals. And you have to get the right qualification. If you're looking for maybe an accountant, you have no shortcut. You have just to get the right accountant who has undergone through the education of accounting and what have you, NCP and what have you. If you am looking for a manager, I'll just go for someone who has been trained, and again, train him some more on what your business needs actually to undergo. Basically, I cannot say that I haven't gotten the wrong people. I have in some time. But again, when you get the wrong people, the next thing is just dismissal and get the right one until now you get the right one. When you get the right one, you retrain, you ensure that you train that person to ensure that he fits actually into your organization. If you fail to train a person to enter into an organization, that is then that you realize that you have a labor that cannot suit your purpose.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, because talking about the same issue about your staff and also your employee, say that a motivated employee is a performer. A motivated employee is somebody who can perform very well. Rating you as now a leader in your organization and being the employer, how do you ensure that your staff member is well? Because sometimes your company is not you, it's them.
Yes,
because they are the
yes.
people who interact with the clients,
Yes,
they are the people who serve the client and what have you. And most people will find that most businesses will be brought down because of the kind of people who run the business, not even the person who is in charge. How do you ensure that now your staff members are always motivated and are always doing the right thing?
First of all, you have let me speak from my point of view. Despite the fact that I'm a boss, when you get me into my work, doing my work, you'll never know that I'm the boss, because I become so friendly to them, so attached to them, and that in itself gives them the sense of belonging, that this actually is our own. If we kill it, we're going to die of hunger. If we kill it, it's like we're killing our own child. You have to make them believe that what they're doing is their own. If you fail to do that, then you bringing problem into your organization. For example, if you're too bossy, to your workers or your labor, then it becomes so hard for you to be attached to them, to know what they're going through. And again, you have to have packages that motivates them. Like, let's say a well-performing person will be awarded this and this. These are the things that you ought to understand. And also, they too have a life to live. You'll get that maybe your workers need some time off, once in a week or twice in a week, or they may ask for off depending on what they want to do. You should actually be that person who will allow your employee to go on a leave, and not unpaid leave, a paid leave. You pay and he goes to a leave and then comes back when time is due. And then also I have ensured that mostly for people involved in sales, we have made sure that we place them on commissions. On commission, to the effect that they earn what they earn according to how they actually perform, and then the commission must be also very, very, very good. When you have an organization, let's say like a marketing job or a sales job, you have to ensure that your commission are lucrative. You don't set low commission, and then in the event they will become demoralized. I think basically, as you said, you have to have them on your heart.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, before you talk about because you're one person who is experienced in terms of failing and bouncing back and making a better day. I think just before that, just to appreciate our viewers who are still coming in, remember our guest tonight is Honorable Mr. Kimani Wanjohi, who is the member of County Assembly, HURUMA ward, and other than that, is running a very successful business. And in this, that is what we are so interested to learn about. And he's mentioned about failing and still coming back to business to where he is. But just to Bernard Gathungu is saying that he's tuned from Mwanzo, and then also we have people who are watching. Eddie Kim is watching, Msikali is watching, Koima Moses is watching, Maya Karitani is watching, Amazon Limited is watching, and then Nicholas Maura is watching, and Amazon Limited is saying that he's watching live from Barnetwing Plaza. An inspiring show as always. Mary Murenga is watching, Jael Bungei is watching, Lemiso Media House is watching, Emmanuel Kiplimo is watching. Many people are watching, and also we have Machario Junior Nyamori is saying that I'm watching from Eldoret and looking forward to an interview on this particular show. Looking forward also to host you some day in the near future, Mr. Machario. And also we have Edin Jorogo is watching, Naomi watching, many others. Devi Maish, this is Devi Maish is saying, I celebrate milestone my boss he has taken us. This is Devi. And Murgor Kiplangat Oliver is saying that inspiring life lessons watching from Tarakaniti County. And then Sean Mugo is watching, Joel is watching, and thank you so much for keeping it locked. Zakaria and many others. Koech Isaac is saying that he's watching from Iten EMC Kenya, and also Dennis Onyango, who is also watching, and Samsam is saying that he's watching live from Muranga. Tell us where you're watching from, and also if you have a question to our guests tonight, please don't hesitate to have it on the comment section for us to be in a position to ask our guest tonight, and tell us where you're watching from so that we know that you're part of this conversation. Talking about failure, we might be also speaking to somebody tonight who is at the verge of closing a business, who is, in fact, he or she has closed a business today, but tomorrow is seeing a dark future. He doesn't see anything beautiful about tomorrow. This is a person that he or she has lost hope in business. But yourself, you've closed, you've opened, you've done a lot of things, but you're still soldiering on, you're still pushing on, and to where you are. What is it that you can say to this young individual who is at the verge of giving up in business?
Well, to someone who's closing his own work for some kind of difficulties, remember that we have also gone through that process that you're going through. We closed our businesses. It's not once, twice, or thrice that I closed. I had to close a lot of times for the reason that I had endured a lot of difficulties. And one thing that I'd like them to know, that there are lessons, great lessons that have been learned all through that process, that challenges. Those lessons will be very effective going forward. When a business doesn't work and is not working, when it's not bringing profit, and it's on the verge of close, just close and start another one, or close and check what has been ailing, and then get the right things, get these acts together. Doesn't mean that now when you have closed that it's like an internal condemnation to you. No, it's never an internal condemnation to you. When you close, you just wake up and start all over again.
Okay.
Yes.
But making that decision, Mheshimiwa, making that decision of closure, sometimes we are so worried about the external image. We are so worried about what will friends say, what will colleagues say, and this is a fight that most people fight to ensure that people don't judge them. But in real life, we are judged negatively, positively. When you do something good, you will be judged either way. But now, escaping from that fear of what will people say.
When actually you're doing business with the mind that, like you say, what will other people say, then I think you're not in the right field. As a business person, you should never ever be afraid of what people think about you. You remember I had a tie and a suit, and I had a B+ on KCSE, and I was a hawking everywhere. Other peer, my colleagues used to laugh at me by then. Because this guy was a very sharp guy in high school. Then he's all over here hawking and in matatus and what have you. If you're in the business, never mind what people are saying. As much as you're going to get your act together, as much as you're making money, that is what matters most. But when you get into this mentality that what now will my friends do, what then I think you're not in the best place. As a business person, the dear thing that should come to your mind is about your client, about your great effort to satisfy them, as long as your services are concerned. If your clients are not happy, that is what should make you worry. Your bosses are your clients. Your bosses are not your peers. They are not your colleagues. If in the event that your colleagues despise you, then they just know that you are on the right track. We were called names while we were doing this business. We were called names because by then I think I was still very young when I was doing that. We were called names. We were called all sort of things. You could get a guy whom you were in high school in pomp colors, just laughing at you, telling other people, look at this guy. We were in the same class with you. Those are the guys that look today at you and clearly say that you should never despise a person. In fact, in the Bible, it is said that who is it that despises the small days of his own beginning? Never ever despise the small days of your beginning, because they might be small, but the end of it will be great. And you remember, anything that grows from the roots, it grows very well.
Okay.
You understand? If you're in the business and you keep on thinking on what people will say about you, I think my sister and my brother, I think you are in the wrong career. I think you should look for another career, not business, because business you'll do a lot of things before you make it.
Okay. Now, because just speaking about the same, because we are living in a age where people try to impress a lot, people try to look good, people try to look like they've made it in life, but in real sense they're struggling behind the scenes. And now that we live in the social kind of world, people will always post good things. They are on vacation, they are outside there, at the expense of any business that they are running. Now, separating your personal life and business, at what point now can you say that? Because at the end of the day, also, you need to have a personal life. Because sometimes you need, we say that too much work without play makes Jack a dull boy. But at what point now can you separate pleasure with hard work?
As a business person, I remind you that when you're starting, this is now when you're starting, or when your business hasn't been at the other climax, you have no business with having pleasure. We have no business with having pleasure. You have no business with having girls or liquor. That will ultimately destroy you. You remember that a business has to make savings.
True.
And the saving has to be in good amount of numbers. If you're making, for example, like let me give an example. If you're making like 1,000 bob a day, the amount of money that should be saved from that business should be actually 90% of it, which is 90 shilling, which means 100 should be used for your own life. And that cannot be enough for your own pleasure. How much, for example, is a black label bottle? 8,000 something. Then how long will it take for you to save that amount of money, so that you go impress your dear or your friend? You have to choose. You have to choose. If it's pleasure, just know that you're into pleasure, but you'll never make it. You'll never make it, no matter how you try, because you have to have discipline in as much as money is concerned. You have to be be saving, so that at the end of the day your capital grows. If your capital is stagnant, then I think you think you are in the wrong in the wrong place. Your capital should be going on and on until such a time when now your business is at climax. Right now, at the time when now your business has peaked, that is when now you can maybe say, I need to drink this, I need to have this pleasure. But when now you are starting or your business is not at climax, oh my, you cannot, and that is not something that you can ask someone to do. And mark you, a lot of also business people make this error that you want to compete with your other business mate, and you don't know how much profit that guy is making. Your guy could be making some deals which you're not which you are not used to, and then you goes ahead to compare with him. That again we will be disastrous to you. Again, you have to live within your means. Even your business has to exist within its own means. You don't start today a business, and then the following year, you want to move to a bigger office, or you want to move to a bigger shop, when your business hasn't realized much profit and much capital as it should be. In fact, by the time you are thinking of setting a new office or setting a new business, your business should have made it to the extent that it cannot exist to that on that place. Then it becomes inevitable for you to move. Your business should push you to move from maybe that shop to a bigger one, but it's not you to push the business to move. It is your business to push, because maybe your clientele has grown, maybe your image is now too small for you. You need another big image. That is when now you expand. But when you expand rapidly without any recourse, without the business asking itself, without the business asking for it, then it becomes one of the failures that you'll ever have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, because I see our time is much moving, but now there is a critical topic that I would have wished to discuss with you, but also we can't miss to have a talk about it.
Yes.
Now, talking about politics and still maintaining your business, at what point did you think of getting into these murky waters of politics, and most importantly, without affecting your business? Because you are now a politician, the business is still in continuation, and now how do you ensure that your business will continue growing and you maintain your career? At what point did you thought of getting into politics?
I had this idea of getting into politics ever since I was a child, for the simple reason that I had this idea that I could create change in my community. And this is, by the way, different from business. Politics values are different from business values. In politics, there are a lot of dishonest. While in business, it is the opposite. You have to be trustful, you have to be truthful as much as you can. But in politics, you have to keep on lying. I don't know how I don't know how it was said to be like that in Kenya, but I think that's it. There are two different grounds. One, I wanted to just create change in my environment, that is to my community. Then I thought the only way that I could change that what I was willing is by actually me getting into the murky waters of politics. In 2017, that is when I applied for MCA. That was first time. I think I was young. I was 25. I was 25 years by then. And I lost Honorable to my friend Honorable Chomba, who is now late. And when I lost, I realized that I had eaten my own capital. I had affected my business to the extent that it was failing. It was even failing. It was in the verge of dying. I had to get a chunk of capital again coming in, so as to make it afloat. That is when also I realized that I had made this mistake that once I get money out of my business, I'll be able to get it back after winning the seat. And then I never won. I
That
never won
particular
a seat. I told you, in business and politics, there are two different worlds. In profit, when you invest money, you can invest money, and the risk of you losing it is quite very low. In political world, you can never know. You can invest as much as you can, but you're going to lose. And in business, you can be as many as you can in a certain given area. But in politics, you can never be you can never get anything when you're number 2. You have just to be number 1. You have to beat all others. If you're vying against 20, you have to beat them all so that you clean the seat. Then when I lost, I realized that it had actually affected my business negatively, and it was in the verge of collapsing. And it's only that I made some capital. I invested some capital from loans. That's what made it to be afloat. So by the time 2022 was approaching, I had learned my own mistake. I ensured that I will build my own capital and leave it aside for political use. In the event that I would have lost in 2022, it will have never affected my business. So I made errors. I made some mistakes in which I learned, and that made me propel now the 2022 seat very well, very comfortable, because I had seen it all.
Okay. Now, from where we sit, Eldoret is now a city.
Yes.
And being a policymaker and also a lawmaker in this great county of ours, do you think we are giving enough and a good environment for business people to thrive currently?
Yes and no.
Let's start with yes.
Yes. Let me say yes, for the reason that we've got a whole city and a populace that is supported by agricultural background, by the farmers and what have you. So in any given event, if you are a business person, you stand to earn more in this town. You stand to make more in this town for the reason that you have this background which makes it possible for you to thrive. I say that, and then I say no, because we've not seen a lot of policy coming from the government of the day, or the past government and the current government, that is actually enabling the business environment thrive. And by that I mean we should be having a quite elaborate policies that makes sure that the lives of businesses people are improved in this own place. Such policy have never seen the day of the light.
Where is the problem?
I think it's just to do with the political goodwill. You know, in politics, it's a total different world. Whoever is at the throne sees you as his own kura, in quotes. So in the event that maybe the support of the business people were not seen in when this person at the throne wanted to be the governor or the MP or senator or something, that support of maybe the business people lacked, then there will be elaborate plans not to assist them. And that is politics. And that has been done, and I don't know if that will change in some near future.
Okay. No, because I don't want to delve much into politics. But
Yes.
now, yourself, we've seen businessmen getting into politics, becoming very successful, and at some point they end up losing hold. They lose the political seats and they lose the business. How are you playing your cards to ensure that you maintain both?
I maintain both. One, when I said when I ventured into politics, I made sure that I had to train my own staff. to deliver in the event that I was away. I had prepared them physically, mentally, and also had them trained on how to go about them. Still, I still play a role, a very big role in my business. I do the stocking, while we have a manager, we have salespeople, we have drivers, we have every kind of person that is needed in the organization. I do the stocking myself, so I'm still in touch of my work. I know what moves and what doesn't move.
Okay.
Right now, I think I'm the leading importer in this town. I import from China and Dubai, and we have people who do marketing. So for the mere fact that I am still into my own business, doing the restocking, I'm unable to take charge of actually that. And still I have, as I told you, I have the right system, I have the right structure to ensure that the business does do well, even when I'm away from it. Yes.
Okay, now talking about as we wrap up this conversation, talking about now Nairobi Marketers, which is your company, where do you see it? Where is now the future of Nairobi Marketers as the CEO?
First, at this time, we are right now. Our presence is felt in I think 20 out of the 47 counties. We have a full presence inside all those counties, from Nyanza region to the whole of Northern Rift, to Kericho, Bomet, Nyamira, Kisii, Nakuru, and what have you. We have set our feet there, and our presence is felt there. We have our clientele from all those regions. In the near future, I see myself going countrywide. I see it becoming a brand within this nation and far wide within the East Africa. That is my 5-year dream, that it will grow within outside the boundaries of this nation.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I can't afford to miss to ask this question. Preparing the next generation to pick up the business, because most challenges we find that the business is always in existence as the owner. The moment the owner, God forbid, something happens, the business dies. Now, how do you prepare now your business to to the next generation, who are your kids and probably your next kid?
Basically, that has been very tough for business people.
Yeah.
For the reason that our business person thinks that he or she will be there. It will be there forever. But that is not the case. That is not the case. If anything happened, then you left. Let me say for a fact, I'm too in it, in that kind of thinking, that we are to kwa dunia. We are here to stay. But that said, let me say I'm just training, but still my skilled employees on how to run business. I too know that they will never be with me for eternity. At some given time, they'll need to get out from me. For the reason that they have grown physically, mentally, emotionally, everything. They'll need to get out from me, and I keep on training them, showing them what to do, how to go about it, how to run stock, how to get capital, what to do, how to get clientele. I teach them with the knowledge that they need also to grow just like me. I was taught by someone, and I also need to pass that to someone. As for my kids are still there. My firstborn kid is still in I think nursery, is it nursery or kindergarten? I don't know how they're called these days. This CBC. I think they're in not even grade 1. They're still in playing group. So I can never talk about my association with my kids to the business world because I like words. I'm silly that yeah.
Okay. Now, one question. What do you think is, given taking you back 10 years later, what is that one decision that would have made that you think that it would have changed everything?
I don't know if I had that thing that I don't know if there's one thing that I would have wanted to change for the reason that I think I made the best decision 10 years ago. But that said, one of the things that I would have loved to emulate 10 years ago is the fact that I needed to be more disciplined.
Okay.
More disciplined.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think I did. I did the best. I did the best as much as the business was concerned.
Okay. How does your typical day look like?
On a typical day, I wake up in the morning. I wake up
At what time?
At 7. I don't normally wake up very early in the morning. I wake up at 7, go to the gym at Rupa Mall until 9, until 8 or 9 there, depending with the assembly schedule. That's Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday when we have days in our assembly. Then after then, I goes to my assembly session, which begins from 9 up to let's say noon. Then I go to my to my place of work or to my lectorates. Now it always depends on the day, because you could get me on a Friday with my lectorates. I don't normally spend time in my office on a Friday. I'm in my lectorate, but on a Monday I'm in my office. I'm in my private office, and I'm still on assembly. So no, it depends. And I was in school, which I cleared recently, and I was still going to school from 6 up to 7.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Shimo, your closing remark, having your camera there, speaking to the young people who are in business. And there is a young person who wants to be a politician like you, but he's running a business. Just giving your nuggets and your closing remarks in that camera.
To that one person who wants to be, first of all, in politics, I think you should be having a calling in politics. Never ever do your politics for the reason that you've had politicians have money. You'll be shocked. Politicians don't have money. It's the business people that have money. If you want money, go do business. If you're going for politics, then there's nothing so rosy in politics as much as money is concerned. And when you have that calling, that leadership call, that is when now you venture into politics, and you venture into politics knowing that you could lose a seat. Is not very definite that you'll get to be elected and to take a seat as you so desire. Know that there will be challenges in politics. You'll be many. Like in our case, we were 20, and at first I was never number one, but at the end of the day, I became number one. Be prepared for any eventuality. We don't want to have a situation where we losing our kids after losing their elections. Number 2, to that business person, you as a business person, you actually selling yourself. You don't sell the product that you have. You don't sell the services that you have. You are that product. You have to sell yourself to that person. You have to identify yourself with that business. You have to believe in that business for you to be doing that. You don't have the liberty to do any business that you don't believe in. That will be a total failure. When you believe in your business, make sure that you first pray, you make God first, and then you trust in yourself. And lastly, you have to ensure that your image is very right for that business. If you are a footballer, for example, you have to be like a footballer. You have to appear to be like a footballer. When you are a news anchor, you have to look like a news anchor. You don't have the liberty of looking like a footballer while reading the news. You have to be at the right time, at the right place. And also, lastly, you have to have the discipline, financial discipline. That is all that takes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for coming through to the show. It's an honor to us to have you, and also sparing despite the busy schedule for you to be here. I think you are. I'm one person who have learned a lot from this interview. Just to read before we close up and wrap up, we have Samsam who is saying he's watching from Uranga. Samsam is saying that Wanjohi is a star. Dennis Onyango is saying that Wanjohi mchapakazi, keep on with the good work, watching from Kapsoya. And then also we have Paul Kanyari who is saying nyota ya wakili Wanjohi iko juu sana. And then also we have Esther Amea Akiso is saying this is an inspiring story from grass to grace. And then Amos Kibiki Mtua is saying that it took on ndani sana. And then George Wahome is saying that watching from Huruma, a very inspiring story. We have another comment here. Evan Skill is watching. And then also we have John Gitao Abbas who is saying he is a symbol of hope. Peter Murray is saying, say hi to kiongozi, tumetoka mbali, nilimjua, tukiwa jasho farm, and many others. I think we'll be responding after this particular bulletin. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an amazing show that you've been part of, and we are really grateful for you being part of this particular conversation. Thank you for always following these episodes and supporting us by sharing, by commenting, and also telling us to keep going. We always look forward to bring you inspiring stories, and from these stories, your story is going to change. Until next week, I was your host, Dan. May you have a good night, and may God bless you.
Hi, welcome to D-Square Uniform Limited. Hi, welcome to D-Square Uniform.
Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show.